It's a great day, educators. Grab your favorite coffee, take a deep breath, and prepare to be catered to. Today, we will discuss mindfulness with our guest, Dr. Nikki Caesar Small. Dr. Nikki Caesar Small currently serves as a business faculty member at Cedar Valley Community College. In addition to her teaching responsibilities, Nikki serves on a number of committees throughout the college. With over 10 years of leadership experience in higher education administration, including 4-year colleges and universities, proprietary colleges, community colleges, and private universities, Nikki has established herself as a thought leader and pioneer in the areas of advancing enrollment management and building corporate relations. Nikki believes that her purpose in life is to contribute towards developing students to reach their full potential professionally. Committed to civic responsibility and giving back to the Dallas-Fort Worth community, Nikki has served on the Education Policy Committee for the Dallas Regional Chamber, a former member of the Dallas Young Professionals, a participant of Leadership Grand Prairie, and is a 2016 graduate of Leadership Southwest. Dr. Caesar Small is a member of St. John Church, a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, and currently serves as a board member for the Alumni Association Board of Directors for Northwestern State University. Nikki has been recognized for several of her efforts, including being inducted into the Business Hall of Distinction at Northwestern State and the recipient of the Excellence in Teaching Award at Cedar Valley College. In addition, she has recently been nominated as a DFW Millennial to Watch. Nikki earned a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Northwestern State University, a Master of Business Administration from Northwood University in Cedar Hill, Texas, and a Doctorate of Education with a specialization in leadership and management at Capella University. Nikki is a native of Natchitoches, Louisiana, and is married to Reuben Small. They currently reside in Arlington, Texas with their daughter, Madison. Educators, let's welcome Dr. Nikki Caesar Small to the show. Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be a part of this podcast and to answer questions, but more so just to learn and engage with the audience. So thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. Oh, listeners, I had the opportunity of going to school with Nikki at Northwestern State University, and I'm pretty sure our dorm room was not our dorm room. I'm pretty sure we stayed in Russell Hall like many days and nights.
Oh, absolutely. Northwestern State is a wonderful college. I've had the opportunity of probably making the most profound memories in Russell Hall in the College of Business. Truly the most profound memories there at Northwestern. Some good things and some bad things, right? We won't talk about all the bad things that went on. We had a good time in Russell Hall for sure.
Yes. I don't want to bring up that finance class. Yeah.
Well, which one? Because I've taken one about 4 or 5 different times.
That one right there. Because I took that one about 3 or 4 times as well.
Yeah, that same class had the same thing, 4 or 5 different semesters. Saying to myself, I'm gonna get out this time. Get out this time. Right.
Oh. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I am probably one of the most transparent people that you'll meet that's in education. And what I mean by that is my passion is helping others expand beyond their dreams from a professional standpoint. But what I mean about being transparent is allowing them to understand the realness of what reality consists of, right? And so I talk to students every day, parents every day about higher education. And a lot of them are afraid of stretching beyond their potential, getting the student loans, going back to school and committing the time, the energy, and the effort of actual education. And so that's where my passion lies is really just adhering to the principles and the values of what higher education can bring within the community and being transparent with people. So I truly enjoy having conversations and really just listening to others as it relates to education and then just providing resources and the tools that they need so that they can understand that, I understand that college may not be for everyone, but people can take away your house, they can take away your car, right? But they can never take away your what? Your degree,
That's it.
right? And so talk about something that is of value. So I try to make sure that every conversation that I'm having with people that they understand the value of what education can bring to that life. So going back, that's my purpose, that's my passion. I'm a mother. I'm a Christian. I love the Lord. I love serving in the choir at church. I can't sing, right? That's right. You'll never hear me sing a solo at all. But I'll be doing the best I can, right, up there singing praises to the Lord. So I really enjoy doing that. I love being a wife to my husband Reuben, and just being a servant leader is really what I'm about and who I am, and just trying to give back to my community.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for
Yes,
sharing that.
yes.
Okay, so what is your definition of mindfulness?
I have to think about the definition of mindfulness. Right? We talked about, different things that impact individuals in society today. And when I thought of the term mindfulness, I really had to let me see what Webster said. Right? Let me see if I'm on the right track because
Right.
I'll be transparent with you. When as soon as I think of the word mindfulness, what comes to mind is just being courteous, right?
Ah,
Understanding where you are, understanding who you're talking to, right? And so, but from a theoretical standpoint, truly about your actions and
mm,
how you respond in certain situations, right? And how you react to the behaviors that truly impact your decision making. Right? Does that make sense?
it does. I'm sitting here
Right.
thinking about each word that you're saying, and it's like, wow. Yeah.
Right. So when we go shopping to Walmart, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get a buggy and someone before me is trying to get a buggy too. I'm mindful that I'm going to wait until it's my turn to get a buggy, right?
Mm,
Being
right.
mindful in certain situations, right?
Yeah.
Or if I'm at an event and a fight or an altercation breaks out, I'm mindful that I need to be cognizant of my surroundings, right? And so mindful is truly all about how you react, how you respond. When I'm having a bad day, from a personal perspective, I have to be mindful, Ms. Harris, of how I interact with other people because my mindset is not really where it needs to be,
Right.
right? To be having high level conversations. So maybe I need to take a breather, right? Keep to myself before I engage in interactions with other people. So again, just being mindfulness of who I am and where I am truly is my definition of mindfulness.
Hmm. I love how you brought the theoretical view of it, but I'm very, very, very um I can't even think of the word right now, but I love I love how you say your definition of being courteous because you're
Right,
being courteous to yourself as well as others. I love that.
right. Oh yeah, you have to be. We're told that we got to think of others and put others before yourself, but sometimes, Ms. Harris, we have to put ourselves first because we know ourselves, right? And as long as you know how you're going to respond and how you're going to behave given the situation that you're in, right, that you might be looking out in the best interest of others,
Right.
right? Does that make sense?
Yes,
Because you
it
know
does.
yourself. Because there's a song, right? I don't know what it is, but back in the day at Northwestern, we used to go to the Ben Johnson, and
Yeah.
there's a song that come on that said, "I'm out myself right now. I'm not myself right now."
Yeah.
Right? And so when we know that we're not ourselves, beware, right? Be mindful. And so that we're also looking out for others too. So.
When you said that, that made me think about different times when I know that I have done more than I needed to. I've extended myself beyond what I needed to. And so what I would do was I would remove myself from talking to a lot of people that day, because I knew that I could any moment snap or say something crazy.
That's right. That's right.
So it's like, okay, let me back away. Let me regroup, get myself together, and then I'll re-engage.
Oh, yes. That's so important. And you really touched on something, regrouping, right? Yeah. Sometimes we have to do that before we react or before we respond. Whether it's counting to 10, whether it's Nam Yo Ho Rankyo,
Right.
Whatever we have to do to make sure that we are together first. Right. Shout out to Angela Bassett, right?
Yeah. Okay, so for the Educator podcast, we look at educators as teachers, as mentors, as coaches, as group facilitators, basically anyone that is providing information to a group of people. So, how important is mindfulness to educators?
Very important. I started teaching in higher education about 3.5 years ago. And I've always thought that teaching would allude to it will allude to impacting the community and providing students with the business acumen that they need to be professional and successful in corporate America or as an entrepreneurship. But it wasn't until recently, within this past year, that I realized that educators have to be aware of mindfulness, not to themselves, but in addition to who they teach, so their students. We have to understand the environment and the culture in which we serve in. We have to be mindful that we are talking to students who are from all different backgrounds. And so that is an important characteristic of being an educator and understanding who your demographics are. So it's extremely important. But going back to what I'm saying earlier about knowing your audience and knowing your situation and how you respond to students. I'll give you a quick example. I have a student right now that's in my class, and she's roughly between the age of 70 and 75. And then that's my oldest student. And I have a younger student who's 18. So as an educator, I have to be mindful of my delivery.
Right.
So if I'm explaining a certain topic regarding ethics in the workplace, my 18-year-old student may not have never had a job before, right? And so I have to make sure that the philosophy that I'm covering is applicable to what she understood in her growing up, right? And then I have to be mindful of my 70-year-old student who retired, right, and who has a range of experience. And so being mindful of who I'm talking to in the classroom and what I'm discussing will impact a student's success. So it's extremely important as education is concerned.
Awesome. I love how you said to be mindful of delivery. That is so important. Because most of the time, we think of the basics of mindfulness, the breathing, the being here, being now, but being conscious of how I present my information. That's so important.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because everyone learns differently.
Right.
We have visual learners. We have learners who can learn best on a online format,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there are various types of learners that we have in the classroom. And again, as an educator, we have to be mindful of that,
Yeah.
right? There isn't just one way that we learn. Even myself, I learn, one way. I'm not an online learner. I would prefer an face-to-face setting, but I
Mhm.
can adapt, right?
Right.
I can adapt.
Right.
But there's some things can't be taught. Some things are just that's just how we were brought up to be. That's how we learn best. And so just being mindful of that is important.
Okay. So share with us how you practice mindfulness.
So, as an educator, there are three things that I do, and I'll go through the first point that I do. The first thing that I'm always mindful of is knowing my audience. So, as educators, we often provide knowledge to learners who are wanting to strengthen their degree in terms of whatever it is that they're trying to study or what they're trying to learn. And so, as a professor, again, you have a wide range of students that are in your classroom, right? As an educator, you have different students from different backgrounds, different age groups, right? And so it's important to know again who you're talking to and be mindful that you may be talking to a student who just had to get on DART that day and it was raining and they didn't have any transportation and it took them 3 hours just
Mm-hmm.
to get somewhere where it typically would take us 10 minutes,
Yeah.
right? And being mindful that, maybe they hadn't had a meal that day. And so maybe that's why they're sitting in the corner and they're not participating in the discussion. Being mindful of a student who have 30 years of working professional experience but just got laid off and realized that I had to go back to school so I can make myself more marketable, right?
Yeah.
And so as an educator, we have to be mindful of those things. My second key or second thing that I do or I try to consistently do to remain mindful is to demonstrate a level of empathy. That's
Mm.
so important as an educator. We can't forget where we come from. We have to understand that everyone has a different level of learning. And we also have to understand that everyone has a different upbringing than us, right? A different learning
Right.
style. And we have to support those learners. If it means coming to class early and providing the resources and the tools that they need to be successful 10 minutes before class. So when they are in class and class begins, it's more of a refresher. If that's what we have to do, then that's what we have to do to be a servant leader in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's important to empathize with our students. But yeah, we can still empathize with them. And guess what? Hold them accountable,
That's right.
right? And by holding our students accountable is allowing them to understand once you graduate from school, you're going to be working with other professionals, and your managers are not going to sit with you and train you every time, right? There an issue comes up. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have to, at some event, hold yourself accountable, and so you can teach them how to be accountable, but yet show a level of empathy, right?
Yes.
So demonstrating a level of empathy is number two. And then the last thing that I do to remain mindful in the classroom is to know your bandwidth.
Oh,
So
I
Ms.
love
Harris,
that.
as yeah, so know your bandwidth. So as educators, we are mothers, we are wives, we are husbands, we do things outside of the classroom, but oftentimes we are voluntold that
Mm.
we need to serve on a committee. We are voluntold that we have to do car line pickup, all right, or car line duty. We are voluntold that we have to do community service events. And so we have to know, our band, we have to know when to say what? No,
Yes.
that
Yes.
I have reached my capacity. I'm teaching, 8 hours a week. I have outside commitments, and therefore I can't do this. I can't stretch myself so thin. Because if we do that, then we encounter stress,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then we encounter anxiety, and then we encounter high blood pressure and all these different factors that impact our health if we don't know our bandwidth. So those are the three things that I try to remain consistent. and in terms of practicing mindfulness.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
Good.
Those are some exciting tips for mindfulness to know your audience,
Mhm.
demonstrate empathy, and to know your bandwidth. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
over the
important.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's truly important because, mindfulness without being mindful could potentially lead to those health risks that
Mm-hmm.
are associated with, with impacting your health, high levels of stress, blood pressure, and things like that. So knowing those three factors and practicing those things will help you minimize those different things that may occur if you don't.
Oh, yes. I love it because that's the goal of this podcast is to provide tools for educators to prevent burnout, to take care of
Mhm.
themselves, to manage stress because stress is gonna come. It's how we manage um that will keep us in a healthy being, as a healthy being in our mind, in our body, in our soul, even in our
Mhm.
spirit, being able to take these tools and apply it to our lives. And that
Mhm.
oh my God, over the last few years, I have done that well. I used to
Mm.
be that, yes, 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 I'll do it.
Yes.
Because I love helping people. I love doing things. But
Mhm.
one time I experienced burnout and I promised myself that I would never get to that place again.
Mhm.
So I began
Right.
to put me a self-care plan together and say, this is
Mhm.
what I need to do. Whether it's daily,
Right.
weekly, monthly, quarterly, I'm doing
Right.
something that I keep myself in a place where I can be effective and efficient in what I do for others.
Right. That's good. That's good. One of the things that I said initially when we started was that I was a transparent person. So I'll share with the
Mhm.
listeners something that's very personal that I don't think I've ever shared with too many people. But about 6 years ago, I had a daughter, Madison, and Madison was born 2 months early because I was a yes woman.
Oh,
So
wow.
my boss was like, "Hey, Nikki, I need you to do this. Okay, I need you to go here. Okay." I was voluntold to do certain things, but I was at a point in my life where I wanted to demonstrate what I was capable of doing so that I can prepare for promotion, right?
Mm,
So I can get greater in terms of my profession. And so I was fearful if I said no, that I wouldn't be able to become the next whatever it was at that time, right? And because I didn't say no, not right now. No means, may not need. No means, no, but it doesn't necessarily mean not ever, right? And so
right.
I should have communicated to her that my plate was full, right? And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do this given my situation of being pregnant. But I didn't do that. And so there were risks that was associated. I developed high blood pressure. And Madison came 2 months early because I didn't know my bandwidth. I was so focused on trying to get a promotion. And so at that point, I said, okay, I have to do something different. And
Mm,
so I've been living my life by doing three things. The first one is keeping God first,
mm,
right? The second one is my family, right? So these are my focal points: God,
yeah.
my family. And then the third is my job. And so I try to make sure that those things don't ever get out of order. And then as long as you keep those things prioritized, then you are mindful of your bandwidth. You are mindful of your capacity level so that you don't get burned out. So I wanted to share that with listeners. So as they're thinking about mindfulness, they can relate to some of their personal situations that are occurring and be able to say, okay, I get what she's saying. That makes sense,
Hmm.
right? And perhaps it can turn their situation around.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for being transparent with that so that our listeners can know that they're not alone. You
Right,
may be in a position now where you're being voluntold to do some things and you don't really want to say no, but then you have to take yourself into consideration as well as your family. Thank you.
right. Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so for the listeners, the educators listening to the show today,
Mhm.
what is one thing you can share with them about self-care?
So it's quite simple, right? Understand the end goal is
Mm,
to truly have a positive outcome. So when you remain mindful, you're trying to achieve that positive outcome.
mm.
And that is what I would give listeners or let listeners understand that, if I can leave you with one thing today, one key takeaway, and that is just to keep the end in mind, right? And the end goal is to establish positive outcomes.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, Dr. Nikki, how can our listeners connect with you?
So I am on all social media. You can connect with me on Facebook at Nikki Caesar, Caesar hyphen small. I'm also on LinkedIn and as Nikki Caesar hyphen small as well. So I look forward to listeners reaching out to me and connecting with me and chatting more about this terminology of mindfulness.
Thank you. Do you have any upcoming events that you would like to share with our listeners?
There are several things that are coming up. We have enrollment going on right now for the spring semester at Cedar Valley. There are lots of colleges that are narrowing down for their scholarship applications. So I encourage listeners who are thinking about going back to school, listeners who are wanting to come into this realm of education, is to be cognizant of the deadlines that are approaching for the upcoming spring semester to either enroll in school or get your financial aid together so that you can enroll your child in school. So thank you all for listening. And Ms. Harris, thank you for having me on today's show.
You're welcome. Thank you for educating us on mindfulness today.
You're welcome.
Educators, I hope you receive some information about mindfulness that will help you grow through life. Remember to subscribe to the Educator podcast and invite other educators to do so as well.
Hello, listeners. My name's Tasman Ivy, and I'm one of the producers here at Built for More FM, and we would love to hear from you. We've created a 2-minute survey that allows us to get feedback from you on what kinds of topics you think we need to feature in our future episodes, as well as any other people that we absolutely need to interview on one of our podcasts. You can fill this out, and it only takes 2 minutes of your time. If you'll be so kind, please visit builtformore.fm/survey. That's BUILTFORMORE.FM/survey. This helps us tremendously in our future planning of programming. We've got shows in development, but we always want to make sure that we're in service to you guys, our audience. Thanks so much for listening, and we know you're going to make it a great day.